I have the pleasure to be here with Andy Willcox, who is former president of the CEDIA North America, consultant and integrator for over 20 years in the market. Now you're consulting for American firms and a number of firms around the world, bringing them internationally with a vision for the future and a vision of expansion. I think that's a lot of people in the market have been complaining about the economy and this and that, and yet there are a lot of people out there that are making a lot of money and are huge success stories. So maybe you can put that in perspective with your international vision, because you're traveling the world now.
Sure.
Tell us, what should we be doing in this economy to get it right? Give us your success story.
Obviously, that's subjective. So.
Yeah, but you're making a huge success internationally for a lot of companies, right? So maybe you can give our viewers out there a little insight on how to do that.
Oh, I believe that we're starting to get somewhere with it. For a number of years, I believed strongly, Bob, that the global marketplace was going to come to a point in time where it would mature. In Europe especially, I was involved with the Integrated Systems Show from the beginning in Geneva, when we had about 2,500 people and a handful of manufacturers displaying, and the building wasn't heated well enough, and our teeth were chattering, but we felt like there was something compelling and an opportunity. So obviously, you know the history. After 5 or 6 years now, it's grown into a show that attracts almost 23,000 people. So it has become a success, and more than a success, it's proven the validity of the custom installation and audio video commercially and from the professional side in Europe. Mm-hmm. And now I do attribute a lot of that to the fact that Eastern Europe is growing, and that's gotten involved, and technology has become more of a mainstay in people's lifestyles, and the Middle East as well. That's helped Europe grow. At the same time, a number of our manufacturers, because of the U.S. economy and its fluctuations, have been looking for other alternative methods to make certain that their business continues growing and they maintain a robustness and stability. So it seems to me that it's a natural step to look offshore and to try to continue to grow while we're waiting for the U.S. economy to figure out what it's going to be when it grows up in the next couple of years.
Well, generally in an election year, as we roll into an election year now, the economy bounces back. But you were saying before, it's bounced so far down, it may take a while to get back. What do you think?
I'm not saying it's a death spiral, but I'm thinking that there's a number of factors that are more contemporary, new and different that we have to look at. You have to look at the issue with fuel, which is a global issue. There's certainly supply and demand going on with that. And you have to look at the housing in the U.S. at this point. It's down the most it's been in 25 years. And that certainly affects the U.S. economy. Automobile sales, we're experiencing some pain. But that's going to affect everybody at some level. However, I see a bright future for the consumer electronics residential installation industry, because companies who actually make the effort to implement best business practices into their day-to-day operations, and look at alternative methods of marketing in different channels, and for that matter, looking backwards to their existing client base and going back and telling people about new technology, those guys are doing well. They have full books. They're doing well.
Yeah, we've talked to a number of people here at the CEDIA UK, and some of them have an order book that's full for over a year.
Well, certainly the Europeans. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens in Denver when we're there, because you and I will be looking at that as well, too. But based on the people that I work with, the dealers I work with in the United States, who are typically very high-end core business dealers, they're all doing very well.
And with the dollar down where it is now, the American companies should be very aggressive going abroad, because the price of production for many of them is quite attractive.
They should look at it as an opportunity, because the European marketplace, certainly with the value of the euro and the pound versus the dollar, not that they're fantastic, they're a lot better than the value of the U.S. dollar. There's opportunity to move product in these markets, no question.
Maybe you can take us a quick trip around Europe. Let's go around Europe. Where should these American and foreign manufacturers look as they look through Europe?
Well,
where would you suggest they get?
You know, there's no question that everyone has had their eyes on Dubai. Now, Dubai is that's just a part of that market. It's a massive market. The wealth is there because of oil, obviously, and 50 years of oil that's been accumulating. Dubai is certainly a very magical place, but you have a number of other markets over there that are just exploding. Saudi Arabia, both Riyadh and Jeddah are exploding. You have Qatar. Doha is going to be one of the next Dubais. Bahrain, the island nation of Bahrain, which is very small but has extreme wealth. Kuwait, Oman, Abu Dhabi, which is the capital of the Emirates, where Dubai is located, and all the oil is located, is going. It has a 30-year plan that's magnificent, and it's exciting what's going on. Cairo, Egypt, you know, the Valley of the Kings and the Pyramids. There's huge development going on there. We're talking about probably an economy and a sustainable growth that's going to last 20 to 30 years in those areas. So that's certainly a place manufacturers should look. And for that matter, installation companies that have their sights set on going offshore. It's a natural.
That's a hot corner. Is Russia still the same hot corner it used to be?
I think Russia's more of a hot corner than it used to be. If you were to look at the growth of significant wealth, the really high-end, extremely wealthy people in Russia, even look at the Forbes list right now. There's probably 30 Russians that are billionaires that are on that list as well. And we're not talking about 1 or 2 billion. So there's a handful of those, but there's guys up at 9-digit or really high-end billion.
Is that boosting the market sort of only at the high end or throughout the market?
I think Russia is starting to grow more wealth and it's moving downward. You know, it's still an extreme economy. It's got very poor on one end, but it's got very wealthy on the other end.
So it's just not one-shot deals. There now that there is a real.
There's a lot going on. I think Russia and Eastern Europe, Poland, Czech Republic, Romania, Bulgaria, even Yugoslavia, the Croatian area, that's all growing, very fast pace.
A little bit because they've joined the euro, or is it?
Yeah, I think it's partially because of the European Union, but it's also partially the fact that since the politics have changed over the last 20 years, they're going through this cycle where they're starting to experience more affluence, and people have an interest in luxury goods, no question. Doesn't matter what continent you're on, luxury goods are an item for certain people.
And back here in the older Europe, where would you? Where can we?
Well, we're at CEDIA UK, and London's a hotbed, no question. I think that the dealers here are experiencing growth, and they're doing reasonably well. At this show, particularly, I've talked to a number of people from France who seem to be starting to get it.
Yeah, well, when you look at the CEDIA awards, and they just did the 2008, and the installations that some of these companies have done, there are obviously a lot of good projects out there to do.
There's some tremendous creativity going on. I mean, I was really impressed looking through some of the publications and the CEDIA awards that the European area in general, as far as residential electronic systems custom installation, is maturing at a very rapid level. They're starting to get it. They're starting to realize that it's a serious business. A number of them are doing very well and growing, and they're all very busy. And it's pretty cool to see that. I'm enjoying it.
Okay, let's go off to the Pacific Basin a little bit and see what we can touch base there. Where have you been recently that you'd like to comment on?
The last trip I made over to the Far East was earlier this year. Singapore is still doing very well. China, I believe there's more manufacturers looking at China. I think China's still a little bit in the future as far as maturity goes, but certainly in Hong Kong, in the Hong Kong area, Shenzhen, Hong Kong, Macau, Guangzhou, the manufacturing areas, you're starting to see a lot of growth and wealth. Shanghai, obviously, because that's always been a very international marketplace. And Beijing, with the improvement that the government's done and the fact that Beijing really wants to be a model city for the world with the Olympics coming up, you're seeing people step up and start to get into it. Obviously, China, with 1.3 billion people, has a very wide, very disparate economy going on. But
so Infocom's going to do their show in Hong Kong.
They have that, and then next year
that's going to be interesting to see how people react to that, I think.
You know, Hong Kong has been a reasonably mature market for a long time, and I think there's more custom installation on the residential side going on in Hong Kong than anywhere else in China. But since 1997, with the transition, Hong Kong is still continuing to grow and still continuing to have a lot of wealth. Australia seems to be doing pretty well, too. Their economy's been pretty stable. Obviously, the Australian dollar is starting to get parallel to the U.S. dollar, so I'm really happy to see it for the people that I know down there. I have a long history in teaching and being involved with the Australian custom installation market, and the show has grown tremendously. The CEDIA show there has been great. Very well done.
Well, I'll be looking forward to seeing you in Denver in September.
Absolutely.
Doing a sequel to this and taking a good, closer look at the U.S. economy. Hopefully it won't be a total nosedive and 12 months.
I don't think so. I think there's sunshine in the horizon. I think
we have to be optimistic.
If people run their businesses well and really
that's
focus, they'll be fine. And like we talked about, there's a number of different things they can do. I think one of the most exciting things that I heard is the fact that Infocom and CEDIA are teaming up to do the Integrated Systems Show in Abu Dhabi, so Middle East and Africa, next March. I think there's a lot of opportunities, so the manufacturers should keep their eyes on that.
We'll be focusing on that with you.
Oh, I'm sure.
And it's been a pleasure.
Until next time, Bob.
See you soon.
Denver.
Thank you very much.
All right, take care.
Take care.